When I get hooked by something that somebody accuses me of, that goes on my debugging the landmines in me curriculum. I'm like, there's one, that's a button. I want to neutralize that button. And the way that I neutralize the button is on the back end. This can take some work. Loving up the part of me that is cheap so that it can no longer be used against me. So when somebody says, "Oh my God, you're so cheap," I go, "Thank you. I feel so seen and known." I am feeling particularly frugal right now, and the $8 on hay really matters to me at the moment. I hold it in me with so much clarity and love and acceptance that it can no longer be weaponized against me. We don't want to be so attached to one identity that people can weaponize personality traits against us. There's a tremendous amount of freedom when we realize we play all parts and all of these things are not only true about us at times, but we have the ability to love that about ourselves, manage it, be choiceful about it. No problem. That makes me just like you. And if I can't do that, so now choice number three, I'm in a relational frame and somebody is accusing me of things and I'm unable to defend myself from it and it is hooking me and I do have a button and it is charging up something in me and I'm finding it distressful and hurtful. I get to disengage from that. I get to realize, ooh, the sunshine that they're sending my way is turning into a sunburn on me. It's too much. The dosage is too high. I cannot protect myself from this. It is hurting. I'm taking myself out of the sun. I get to leave the situation. I get to go to bat for my well-being. I get to say to somebody, this is beyond what I am able or willing to field right now. In order to take care of myself, I am going to take a sabbatical from our friendship. I'll call you in 5 years' time. Again, I'm being a little playful there, but you understand the point. You do not have to lean in and get curious about somebody else. You do not have to empathize with their perspective. You do not have to do the shadow work and think that there's something wrong with you for not being able to not take it personally. And you get to create conditions that are good for your well-being and remove yourself from situations when it is too much for you and to say no. And I'm going to come back when I feel more resourced, more conscious, more aware, more courageous, and I can see what I want my next move to be that is in integrity with who I want to become. But as long as I feel like this relational dynamic makes me a little marionette, a little puppet on a string, and I don't have the ability to not be a puppet on a string, I'm detaching from this interaction until I can get some agency and choice back for myself. Otherwise, I'm going to just leave this feeling victimized all the time, and I don't want that for myself. The vast majority of people that you are going to interact with on this planet, I hesitate to put a percentage because I would say more than 99%, are going to judge you. They are going to have judgments of you. And they are going to share those judgments with you, thinking that they are being kind and helpful. That is also true. And you will be the common denominator fielding all of those judgmental, crappy people who tell you that you're cheap and you're making a big deal out of things and you're oversensitive. And why can't you just get along with everybody? And why can't you just see them for who they are? And why do you, this is not going to be escapable. You will not be able to leave enough relationships to get away from that dynamic. So there's that. Point number two. That doesn't mean that I have to live with them. Okay? Like, my favorite times of my life have been when I live alone. So the question of who do I room with? Who lives in my house? Who do I give exposure to me on a daily basis in a living situation? Oh, I get to be very, very selective about that. Okay, so those two things are different. I get to decide who's in my sacred inner space and who and how often I want to interact with all of these people who are going to be who they are going to be. And then I no longer speak to myself in those ways, but I will exhaust myself if I want to train the rest of the world not to speak to me in those ways. They will continue to speak to me in those ways. I will decide my level of exposure and I will put on my giraffe ears, as they say in nonviolent communication, and I will learn how to hear it differently. And I will do my shadow work and unhook so that these things are no longer painful, so that I can see through them to the truth of the human being on the other side who has a language problem, who is communicating unskillfully with me. But I'm no longer going to feel like, one, I'm responsible for meeting their needs, or two, I can teach them enough things about my preferences that they're going to change who they are. There's this idea, and this is one that has come up a lot on this call, that I can just teach other people to be who I need them to be. If I just tell them I don't like judgment and they need to stop judging me, then things will be fine if they would just stop judging me. And if I just tell them that I really need predictability, and when you say that you're going to do something that you said you would do, I really need you to actually do that because otherwise my needs for trust are not met. So could you please be different so that my needs are met? So can you please speak differently so that I can feel more comfortable? That strategy is a fool's errand. Although that is a very common thing that I hear all the time in the work that I do, I am here to tell you all, stop it. Stop that one because you're wasting your energy. Yeah, this is an inner growth process. This is an inner healing process. This is an inner freedom process. This is a understanding. They're just trying to tell you about them. We all need sacred communities where there are people who can do things better than we can do them, because those are the people who will fill us up, but we have to go find them. That is not the general public. That is, I go on a search for my mentors, for my teachers, for my communities of support, for my support groups, for my practice groups. I intentionally cultivate the relationships that are going to help me make the shift that I want to shift and fill me up in the way that I want to be filled up. Because I can't do it all myself. None of us can just carry all of that on our shoulders.